how would you define innovation? Basically, it's just getting shit done.
Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of KIIPSODES. I'm Uttara, and I'm excited to introduce Shawn, Curran, and Karim Nassar from Travers. Shawn is the head of legal technology at the firm, and Karim is a product engineer. We're honored to have these two talented innovators on KIIPSODES to show you how Etatonna, their recently launched contract labeling tool, works, as well as the implications of this tool in the broader legal space. Are firms overlooking the need for strong legacy tech in favor of the cool and sexy emerging legal tech? And what is legal tech anyway? Stay tuned for all the answers in this KIIPSODE. Thank you so much for being here, Shawn and Karim. We're so lucky to have you.
Thanks, Tara. Thanks very much for the fantastic introduction.
So why don't we start off with a little bit of background into Travers legal tech strategy, namely with artificial intelligence? How has it evolved over the years?
As you know, our Etatonna platform was launched at a King's College event about 4 or 5 months ago, and we actually gave King's College a bit of an exclusive with Etatonna because we launched it to King's before we launched it to the market. About a week later, I think we open sourced it publicly and got quite a lot of positive press on that. With Etatonna, the purpose of the Etatonna platform was to enable us to build a training labelled data asset within the firm that we could use to train artificial intelligence and machine learning models, and from those models be able to assess and detect risk in a large set of contracts on behalf of our client to provide a better legal service overall. We recognised about 2 or 3 years ago that the future of artificial intelligence wasn't going to be driven by the AI models themselves, but it was going to be driven by high quality, well-refined data across any industry. And we knew that as a firm we needed to make an investment in that area to start to refine and structure our contract data so that we could prepare ourselves for the future of artificial intelligence. I'm just going to hand over to Karim now, who has got a fantastic example of where we were able to leverage our Etatonna platform and the data that we had built and labelled over the last 4 or 5 months, and how we are now looking at evolving the Etatonna platform out of just being a labelling platform, but actually using it more for active contract review.
Yeah, so we had a really interesting case where we had to go over 725 contracts to look at change of control provisions. And of course, our Etatonna platform has the capability of extracting change of control provisions from contracts. So we thought it would be a really good opportunity for us to see whether it would save our lawyers time. And what we ended up doing is we leveraged our teams. We have a document production team, both in Manila and in London. And they were able to validate the results of our AI to make sure that the results could be validated. And what ended up happening is we saved our lawyers a huge amount of time because all they needed to do at this point was compare the other side's position against the position of our AI rather than having to look at the entire contract set. I don't know if you have anything to add to that, Shawn, but I think it's a really good example of how we're able to leverage the product that we've created to help our lawyers sort of review 725 contracts in a short amount of time and deliver the best that we could for our clients.
Yeah, nothing to add. I think that's a fantastic example of where we've been able to leverage that labelled data asset that we've been building over the last 6 months and use it for an active client need to deliver a service for our client, which was much more cost effective and actually can help to reduce risk, because quite often in these large contract review exercises there has to be a point at which you agree you cannot review all of the contracts because it just isn't humanly possible for a lawyer to read every contract top to bottom, and actually leveraging tech can help to assess risk in contracts that you may not have deemed important or relevant, but they might have some material risk in them. So that's where AI can really plug a gap. I think it's quite interesting. I don't know if anybody who's listening has watched Suits over the years, the TV show, the legal TV show that was on Netflix. There's a chap on that called... Have you watched it, Karim?
Yeah, the one with Meghan Markle, right? Who ended up...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you've got Meg Ross, and it's all very glamorous, and then in this beautiful city office, and Mike Ross always saves the day by going into a room, and then about 3 or 4 days later he comes out of the room and he's got a really important material document that they can use to win the case, right? This is the whole premise of every single Suits episode. But what they don't show all of you young law grads and aspiring lawyers is the 3 or 4 days that Mike Ross had to sit in that room and trawl through millions and millions of documents, millions and millions of bits of paper to find that one document that was going to help them win the case. And I think AI is going to mean that in the Suits analogy, that Mike Ross isn't going to have to spend as long in that room looking through the contracts. It will be, he might be walking down to the tech department now, and he might be asking their data scientist, can you find something that is material for the case, rather than having to trawl through documents himself. And that means that we're really using technology to make sure that our lawyers are just doing really good lawyering. So now that you've got that document that's relevant to the case, how are you going to build a really good legal argument around it? You shouldn't be searching and finding it. You know, that technology can help with that. But once you get that document, then it's up to you to be a good lawyer and sort of build a case around it. So I think that's a good example of where what we're doing on AI is just helping our lawyers to automate the monotonous elements of lawyering. And I think that will be a continued theme over the next 5-10 years as we start to automate these workflows.
Well, thank you for the insight. I think it's great to hear how Travers Smith is using innovation and a forward-thinking outlook to leverage technology in order to provide more value for money to their clients. But let's go beyond this kind of innovation in legal tech and talk about foundational tools and how Travers Smith uses such tools to improve its workday processes on a daily basis. How important is legacy tech to such a large firm?
Yeah, absolutely. So Karim and I could probably talk to this quite a bit. You probably want to be quite careful whenever you're talking about legacy tech. I think that if you are seen as being a legacy technology company in the legal industry, then that's perhaps a little bit negative. And I think a lot of these organisations are trying to demonstrate they are more innovative and their roadmap on a more innovative basis. But there are technologies that have been around in the legal industry for a long time. So, technologies like email management and document management. And those are the pillars, the sort of two core technologies that our lawyers have used for as long as I've been in the legal industry for the last 15 years. And within the Travers Smith Legal Technology team, we are responsible for document management, and we're also responsible for ensuring that all of our emails are filed into the central matter within the document management system. So we have been investing and focusing on what you may call legacy technology, but just ensuring that our lawyers get a fantastic service and the sort of bread and butter technology of our firm, that they can still use that, they can still do their job, they can still use Word and Excel in the way that they need to, they can still save all of the documents down to the central file, they can still map all of their emails into our document management system in the most efficient and effective way. So it's very much a big focus area for us. But once you start to look at some of those legacy processes that happen in the legacy technology, there are loads of opportunities for efficiency that are often overlooked because people are focusing too much on, as you mentioned earlier, the sexy, innovative, new tech. And I think it's very important that we don't forget that we can continue to iterate and evolve and innovate across any technology platform where any human process exists on a technology, whether it's legacy or new. There is always opportunities for efficiency. I don't know, Karim, if it's worth just talking to some of the features that we've added to some of our legacy technology in terms of more innovative features.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because anytime legal technology is mentioned, to the wider market, I think people immediately think about, things that maybe are more sexy in the sense that they're looking for artificial intelligence or, machine learning, all of these sort of buzzwords. But I think they forget that legal technology as a term really encapsulates anything that lawyers can use to be more efficient. It's anything that the legal market can use to be more efficient. And that, of course, is a much wider umbrella. And it's really important to try and find those efficiencies in every aspect of the company, not just in the sexy new technologies and AI, because actually there's a lot of situations where AI is not the right way to go, where you can use the very good rule-based system, or any other kind of system to do what you're looking to do and actually increase the efficiency for the lawyers. And often, a lot of the time that can actually be even more cost efficient than going down, the AI route for a simple task. So, a really good example of that is again, not as interesting as maybe machine learning would be, but something like email management, where, even to this day, Outlook is used every single day by lawyers all over the world for, 7 hours a day, if not longer, because they're still checking their emails on their phones when, over the weekends and whatever it is. So Outlook is probably the most used application for lawyers, and not just for lawyers, probably for most companies in the world. So it would be almost irresponsible of legal technology teams to not to pay attention to that and see if there are efficiencies that you can find to make the lives of your employees easier. And we did look at email management actually quite substantially, and we found that lawyers spend a lot of time moving emails out of their inbox into subfolders that have been organized matter-centrically. So obviously lawyers work in a matter-centric way. What I mean by that is most of their emails are associated with a matter. And they usually set up their inboxes to reflect that. And we just thought that, if we could find a way to automate the process of moving emails out of your inbox into this matter-centric subfolder structure, that would save our lawyers a huge amount of time. And that's exactly what we did. It doesn't use AI or machine learning, but it uses a really good rules-based system that saves our lawyers a huge amount of time. Many of you might know this, but actually, we believe we were the first law firm to open source technology to the legal tech market. And it was with that product, which we call MapMail. And that's now been followed up with Etatonna, which of course we open sourced about a month ago. I think it all starts by looking at where can we be most efficient and save our lawyers the most amount of time and money. If that happens to be something with artificial intelligence, that's great. If it happens to be something a little bit more, what you would think is boring, but actually it's not, but something that's maybe not as doesn't use as many buzzwords, and that's also great, right? Because at the end of the day, we're just looking to make it as efficient as possible for them.
Yeah. And one other technology that we've just developed and that's been rolled out really successfully across the firm in the email management space, other than MapMail, which is a kind of clean up historic emails that you haven't failed, the system that we've just developed is a folder mapping technology that allows our lawyers to map their folders in Outlook to our document management system. And if you look at that process that happens across the firm, I don't know, we get about 100 to 200 folder mappings a day across all the different lawyers, and it can take as a task to map a folder, 5 or 10 minutes, and no lawyer has ever questioned whether or not that process could be made more efficient, because it's just a normal task that they carry out every day, and they're maybe blinded by the lights of it's so innovative AI legal tech. They never quite thought, could that process be made more efficient? Anyway, we've now added a feature to that folder mapping technology, which uses proprietary AI that we've developed ourselves, which can predict the folder mapping that a lawyer might create. So mapping an Outlook folder to a workspace in our document management system, we can use AI to predict the mapping that they might create. And instead of them having to go through a sort of 10-click process to pick the Outlook folder, to pick the document management folder, to search for it and find it, we present to them a list of your suggested mappings, and with one click they can add that in. And Karim had a fantastic example with a very senior partner where he was able to add about 15 folder mappings in the course of about a minute, and that process would have otherwise taken about 30 minutes to an hour. And actually it was more efficient for him to do it than it was for him to delegate it to his PA. And I don't think it's a task that the PAs enjoyed doing anyway. So that's just another example of where we built a platform that's very much seen as legacy, but which has been a really solid, platform. But then we've iterated on it and we've innovated to improve the efficiency of lawyers, because we don't want our lawyers having to spend unnecessary time doing these admin tasks if we can avoid it.
Well, what was interesting about the senior partner is that it was almost an addictive thing, right? They didn't really know what to expect, and we were just on a call. And when I showed it to him for the first time, he just started clicking away. And I think it's important to realize that this is a manual process that usually takes quite a while. Finding where you want to move your email, how you want, what mappings you want to create for the subfolders that you have. And this was just one click. And I think the partner found it quite addictive to have this list of matters that they recognize and just be able to click and just create mappings after mapping after mapping and just click away. And it's almost that, just one more sort of effect of just keep going because it's just one more, I recognize that one. And it was just really interesting to see how such a simple idea and such a simple thing, translated into just almost joy in a sense for the partner. So it's good to see.
Yeah. And another feature of that product is with these systems, when you file emails into your document management system, they can either be deleted immediately once they've been filed, or you never delete them and you manually go back and delete them. And the feedback that we've often had from our lawyers is they want them to stay in their email for a month or two whilst the matter and project is active, but at that point they would be happy for them to be deleted, and therefore they can't select the option to delete immediately. They have to select the option that will never be deleted, and they manually go through and delete those emails. Again, that's a manual task. And we've added another feature to that platform which says we will delay the deletion for a period of time that you can specify as the lawyer. So if you know this matter is going to run for a month and you just want the emails for 3 months in your mailbox, having known they've been filed to the DMS, specify 90 days and then we'll delete them for you automatically. So again, a process that's happening. The lawyers are having to do it. It's admin. It's not fun. Nobody wants to be doing that at 2, 3 in the morning and not going home to see their families. And we're just iterating and engineering these inefficiencies out of that platform. And I think it's really interesting because it's on top of what a lot of other people class as legacy technology.
Great, thank you for that answer. I think it definitely makes sense when a firm's deciding whether to improve upon their existing legacy tech or to reach for the next big legal tech invention. They need to be sure that they're actually even ready to do the latter. I mean, it comes down to whether the firm simply wants legal tech for its features or whether there's actual value added to the firm. And I think that it's so important to find the right balance. So moving on, Travers Smith seems to have had a great year in 2020 despite the pandemic with the really successful launch of Etatonna. Congratulations on that. But I'm sure we're all keen to know, where is the firm headed in 2021?
That's a fantastic question around our strategy for the year. I think we will continue to evolve and develop our artificial intelligence strategy to try and improve the ability to assess risk for going to be a very interesting development for our firm over the course of the year. We're looking at technologies like electronic signing and file sharing, and there's been a huge uptick on those platforms since March last year, since the pandemic hit. And those platforms aren't going to go anywhere soon. I think we have, through the pandemic, changed a lot of working practices, probably forever, certainly around electronic signing. I think it's going to be very difficult for clients to not want that level of efficiency going forward once things return to normal. So we're going to continue to invest in our tech platform and tech strategy to ensure that we can remain competitive in this future of sort of legal tech, as it were, and make sure that we have the very best platforms that we can use. I think one of the other areas that we've been looking at quite heavily is around the Microsoft Office 365 suite, and whether or not that can support some of our legal processes. And I think Microsoft are obviously making a bit of a play in the legal industry. They've sort of dedicated a team to it, as it were. And I think that's going to be an area of focus for us. Obviously, we've got a fantastic tech stack there that can be leveraged, and historically hasn't been leveraged for legal workflows other than Microsoft Word and Excel, which the lawyers love. But yeah, we'll probably start looking at some of those platforms as well. Karim, I'm not sure if there's anything else.
Yeah, maybe I just add to that our working practices have changed quite substantially. I mean, nobody wants to mention the pandemic, but unfortunately, we are in a global pandemic, and it's been quite a long time. And I think it's interesting. Sometimes speaking to the lawyers, a lot of people have actually been working from home now longer than they've been in the office, which is an interesting development, which I think nobody ever saw coming. But of course, the change in working practices, it came so suddenly that a lot of things happened very quickly, and for tech teams we had to adapt to that. Obvious examples are things like electronic signing. Our uptake of our electronic signing solutions went up about over 2,500% in a few months. So we obviously have to adapt very quickly to that. And I think looking at the future, obviously hope is we're getting more hopeful by the day. But coming out of this pandemic, we're going to have to see how much those changing practices stick with us. I mean, I believe that, and I think as a firm, we believe that people are probably going to be working from home a lot more, and we're going to have to see whether the changes that we've seen are going to continue and how long they might continue for. And it's going to be interesting to see how the legal tech market adapts to that. And we're definitely going to want to be at the forefront of any changes and make sure that, we're delivering as much as we can as we sort of come back to a normal ways of working.
Yeah, I think this year is going to be, if it wasn't already since March, certainly this year there's going to be a lot of focus across the legal industry on information governance, and it might sound like a bit of a boring point, but as we continue to leverage all of these different productivity tools for our matters, we're going to have to be very hot on ensuring that all of our information is tracked centrally and is stored. I'm not sure if you all know, but the Solicitors Regulatory Authority requires that you keep a digital file for all of your matter work product. And historically, when you had Word and Excel and emails in a document management system, it was very easy to keep on top of that regulation. But now, with the explosion of legal tech products and the explosion of legacy technology that's now being used on legal tech, the Microsoft stack, etc., I think firms are going to have to be very conscious of where their information is and where it's being stored. We've done some fantastic work this year in implementing DocuSign in a matter-centric way, which a lot of individuals don't. These cross-industry platforms like DocuSign are usually designed for individual users to upload their documents themselves, and obviously a user or a lawyer can work across a number of matters, and that's not always the best from an information governance perspective to slice and dice your documents to be relevant to each matter. And we implemented a matter-centric approach in doing so. We rolled out Box, which is a file-sharing platform, in April, which has been fantastic. We've now got 300 or 400 people using that on a daily basis. And again, we implemented that in a very market-leading, matter-centric way to ensure that we still had all of the benefits of the legal industry in these platforms. We've been able to leverage platforms that weren't built or designed specifically for the legal market. So yeah, I think that's going to be something that firms have to get really hot on. And I do worry at times that there's perhaps a lack of matter centricity throughout the industry, and that's being eroded by the influx of new technologies. Anything else, Karim, that you can think of just to finish?
No, apart from saying that I'm really excited to see what the future holds, how the market's going to evolve, and I think at Travers Smith, we want to be market leading, and I think we are market leading, and it's going to be interesting to see how we fit into the market sort of moving forward.
Yeah, two final points actually just come to me. We are launching, and there will be some press around this, again, another exclusive for the KIIPS community, but we are launching an internally built technology training program. A lot of other firms have upskilled their lawyers on legal tech, and we've decided to, now that we believe that we're market leading in a lot of these areas, we've decided to just do it ourselves because we've got a lot of really good insights and expertise in-house. So we're going to be rolling out a technology training program across the firm this year, which there's a lot of excitement about. And then just the last point to finish on, we are very excited to continue to work with the KIIPS community and King's College specifically on all of the events that I'm sure we'll have planned for the year. Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Definitely. And thank you, Shawn and Karim, for giving us this opportunity to host you on KIIPSODES so we can learn more about how firms must find this optimum balance between inventing new and cool legal tech and also improving upon existing legacy tech processes. So thank you for this conversation. Just for our audience's sake, where can we learn more about Travers Smith and maybe Etatonna specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess the first place to look would be our website, where we have lots of content on there around what we're doing on legal tech, and we're going to continue to add content to the website through the course of this year. If you search for Travers Smith on some of the legal tech and legal press, you will find quite a lot of the things that we've gone to market with over the last couple of years, like Etatonna, our force majeure app, Mapmail, etc. And then also feel free to add either myself or Karim on LinkedIn. We're always keen and pleased to increase your network of young law graduates. So yeah, feel free to add us on LinkedIn and drop us a message if you want any more details.
Great. Thank you so much for engaging with the KIIPS family. We appreciate all these opportunities. If you want more bite-sized content like this, please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And be sure to follow our KIIPS social media for updates on what we're doing. All our links are in the description box below. We would love to hear from you. Let us know in the comments how you found this episode and what other topics you'd like us to explore. See you on our next episode of KIIPSODES.